So today we will be discussing about metabolism of amino acids and proteins. Start that chapter. Now, before you understand what are proteins and what is the metabolism of proteins, so for amino acids, you need to understand what is amino acid, its structure, its significance, all of that. Now, amino acids are basically alphabets of your proteins. Okay, they are also called alphabets of your proteins. So in a particular sentence you need, say, individual alphabets to make a particular sentence, right, or to make a word. The same way, to make proteins you need amino acids, or think of amino acids as monosaccharides for a carbohydrate, the basic unit of a protein. If you break down a protein, you will get peptide chains. If you break down peptide chains, you will get an amino acid, right? Your protein will be a very convoluted structure like this. Okay, something like this. If you break one particular part down, let's suppose I'm breaking this part down, I will get a long chain like this. If I individually break it down again, I will get amino acids. Okay, that is how you get amino acids. Now amino acids are also referred to as building blocks of proteins, and there are generally 20 amino acids, mainly 20 amino acids that are found. 10 of them will be essential, 10 of them will be non-essential. I'll tell you the difference, what is essential and non-essential. But in general, in totality, you have 20 amino acids which can what do you call, join in almost 20 to the power 20 number of ways, which can give you innumerable a number of proteins. You can get several combination of that amino acids. So if I have, let's suppose, two amino acids, okay, I can get two square number of proteins. So from this I can get four proteins in different combination. Okay, now I have 20, so I can get 20 to the power 20 number of proteins, or it may be more as well, depending on if what do you call, certain different type of combinations occur. Generally your amino acid, the structure of your amino acid will have a amino group, a carboxylic group, and a side chain. All right, so the basic structure will look something like this. You have an R group, it is attached to a carbon. Here is hydrogen. This has C double bond OH, and this has an amino group here, hydrogen and hydrogen. All right, this is the basic structure of your amino acid. So if you translate it into direct, you will generally see it written like this. So you will find uh, 2H, or it is basically NH2. Let me write it this way, it will be easier for you to understand. R NH2 COH. Okay, this RCH2 RNH2COOH basically is the basic structure of your amino acid. R can be any alkyl group, it can be aryl group, it can be aromatic group. Basically this amide linkage, is amide linkage bolte, that should be present. NH2COOH should be present, and this carbon will be called the alpha carbon. Okay, from here on out you will get different. So from here on out, if let's suppose that R chain has two carbons, basically let's suppose the structure is something like this. It is NH2 CH, यहाँ पर C C H and H, and let's suppose 1 1 2 3 यहाँ पर ऐसा है, you add an acetyl group to it. Okay, or ethyl group to it. So this is obviously the alpha carbon, which is again attached to COOH in turn. All right, this will be the beta carbon, and this will be the gamma carbon. Okay, we'll keep on going, we will have up to epsilon as well. You might have more as well, depending on the number of chain. Depending on these alpha, beta, gamma, you will get different types of naming. All right, now this is the basic structure of your amino acid. What is the significance of amino acid? Obviously it is the dietary source of nitrogen. You need nitrogen in your diet that amino acid provides, and it was the building block of your proteins. It is essential for biosynthesis of proteins. To make proteins you need amino acids. Another thing is you will have a few glucogenic amino acids. All right, glucogenic amino acids. Now amino acids have a property to be converted into something called glucogenic amino acids. These amino acids can serve as a source of energy. Okay, they will have a glucose like structure, and glucose they'll basically make glucose. Okay, by several reactions they will be able to form a glucogenic structure, which if broken down can you give you energy. The same way how glucose can give you energy in the body, sometimes what happens is because of a diseased condition, let's suppose glucose is not being able to it is not available, or it is not what do you call it cannot be used. So something like what do you call your diabetes, right? In that glucose, even if it is present, it is not getting inside the cell. In such a condition, I told you, sometimes ketosis occurs and sometimes muscle will break down. Your body will break down any expensive tissue, which takes a lot to maintain. So in that process it can use these glucogenic molecules as well, glucogenic amino acids. Specifically one that is glucogenic is alanine. Alanine is a very common glucogenic amino acid that will be broken down whenever energy is needed. It works as an energy source, right? Other than this, some particular amino acids like glutathione, tyrosine, phenylalanine, will go over all the 20 amino acids as we progress, but specifically your glutathione, phenylalanine, and tyrosine, these fellows will be responsible for the formation of hormones. Specifically now when we studied about thyroid disorders, I told you tyrosine is very important to make T3 and T4. So see here, tyrosine is an amino acid. It is essential for making thyroid hormones. It is essential for making catecholamines. Catecholamines are adrenaline, dopamine, epinephrine, all of that. Catecholamines and melanin. Please don't confuse melanin with melatonin. Okay, one is a pigment, the other is responsible for sleep. Okay, I'm not sure whether or not that was taught in your physiology, but one is a pigment. All right, melanin is the pigment, melatonin is the hormone that is responsible for sleep. All right, circadian maintenance of circadian rhythm specifically, so that your sleep wake cycles do not go awry. Now, coming to classification of amino acids, now this is the basic structure. You can classify amino acids in several ways. Okay, you can classify them based on their structure, you can classify them based on their chemical nature, their physical nature, their nutritional requirements, and metabolic fate. What do they make when they undergo metabolism? All of this can play a part in classification of the amino acids. We'll go over them briefly. See, in your textbook, there is a lot of unnecessary detail. I will try to cut short it down, because uh, one of the most important aspects that you will get from protein synthesis or from the chapter of proteins is something called ornithine cycle. Okay, it is also called urea cycle. That is one important part. You also have formation of protein, which is not given in your textbook. I'll explain it as we go on. If possible, I'll send you the notes of those. But we'll see. Okay, if any particularly important topic comes, that I'll highlight a little bit, because there's a lot of unnecessary material in this, especially that will be based on your knowledge of organic chemistry. If you don't understand that, it'll be harder to understand all of this. Okay, try to keep it brief. Right, coming to classification of amino acids. So I told you classification can be based on 4 or 5 different categories. We'll do the first category. Okay, classification, just write it here. The first one based on structure. Now based on structure you will have 8 different types. Okay, specifically speaking, 8 different types of amino acids, or 8 different types of classification. The first one will be aliphatic amino acids, Aliphatic का मतलब they are what you call straight chain amino acids. Okay, simple structure, straight chain amino acids, mostly straight chain. Specifically, they will have single bonds. Okay, most of the aliphatic compounds that you find will be straight chain. Sometimes they will undergo branching, but all of them will have a single bond. So nothing complicated. So this in turn will be divided into simple and branched amino acid. Second. For example, you have your glycine and methionine. Those are simple amino acids which are, unbranched. I'll draw you the structure of glycine that you understand. Okay, glycine looks like this. So hydrogen, CH, NH3 plus, COO minus. This is the alpha carbon. This is the structure of glycine. Okay, I have not changed the amount of hydrogens. यहाँ पर जो H था, ठीक है, this I'm transferring here. That is why ammonium molecule is formed, where you get ammonia molecule is formed where you get NH3 plus, because one extra hydrogen is coming. See, nitrogen can only house 3 electrons. It is already getting one from carbon and it's taking 2 hydrogens. One, it is getting extra from COH, carboxylic group. That is why this carboxylic group will get a negative charge and this fellow will get a positive charge. Right? That's simple. This is the basic structure of your glycine. As you can see, this is all a what you call single bonds, and it is a fairly straight structure. This is the main structure. Okay, ये line consider करते हैं. Right. If I talk about branched amino acids, again aliphatic में ही आता वो, but they are branched. They will be what you call single bonded, but they'll be branched. For example, if we draw valine, valine is a branched amino acid. Just erase this. This is simple. Okay, simple amino acid. I'll just abbreviate it A. Okay, that is amino acid. Then we have branched amino acid, which is valine. You have other examples as well. There is valine, there is a leucine, there is isoleucine. All of them are branched. Okay, just for the purposes here, I'm drawing one of them. This is a branched amino acid. Now, valine looks like this. You have a CH3 molecule, another CH molecule, another CH molecule, C double bond O minus, NH3 plus, and you have a CH3 here. See, if you can see, the major line goes straight and all of them are bonded by single bonds. Fairly simple structure, right? Again, the same way as in the last structure, यहाँ का hydrogen which was of the carboxylic group is going to the ammonia group. Okay, that is the only difference. Normally you will generally find them without charge. You can also find them with charge. This is a structure that is with charge. All right, glycine also, which you saw, is with charge. They will interchange. All right, they can be in non-charged state, they can be in charged state. Right, this is a branched amino acid. This will be the branching. This methyl group that you are seeing, this is the branching. All right, so if this is the alpha, this will be beta, this will be gamma. All right, fairly simple. Coming to the next one. Yeah, so aliphatic amino acids were the first class. Second class will be hydroxy amino acids. Excuse me. Hydroxy amino acids. Fairly simple, as the name suggests, this will have an extra hydroxyl amine group. Okay, for example, you have your serine and threonine. Both of them are hydroxy amino acids. Serine looks like this. One second. So you have a CH2, CH, C double bond O minus, NH3 plus, and you have a OH molecule attached here. This will make it a hydroxy amino acid. Okay, 3-on-N will be slightly different, where you have another. So basically, 3-on-N will look like this. This is how serine looks. You have 3-on-N as well, which will look. One second. Let me do it this way. इसको OH लगा के यहाँ पर. Okay, this is how 3-on-N looks. Okay, the initial structure was serine. The next, this one is 3-on-N. In both of them, you can see the hydroxyl group. That is why they are called hydroxy amino acids. Yeah. Please feel free to stop me if you're not understanding, or if you want me to repeat anything, because this can be a lot of new information. This is something that you will have to memorize, not something. There is a little bit of understanding, but a lot of memorization, more memorization than understanding. In any case, so serine is one, 3-on-N is the other. The third way of third class will be sulfur containing amino acids. So you have a sulfur containing amino acids. You have one is methionine, the other is cysteine. Okay, I'll draw the structure of methionine. Methionine looks like this. So you have a CH2, you have S, CH3, CH2. Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. People are trying to come in. CH2, CH, C double bond O, H3 plus. See, यहाँ पर because sulfur containing compound है, some of them they are also called mercapto groups. Okay, sulfhydryl groups, specifically in cysteine. Whenever you see a sulfate group attached, it will be called a mercapto group. Okay, sometimes even thiol group, but it will be slightly different. Anyway, this is the basic structure of your methionine. All right. अब यहाँ पर if you see the basic structure of an amino acid, this will always remain same. ठीक है? This is the R group that we were referring to. Okay, this will be the R side chain. This keeps on changing. Okay, this is the carboxylic end, this is the amino end, and this keeps on changing all the time. This will always be the alpha carbon, and from here on out, whichever is the longest branch, that is how the numbering and the naming will occur. So this will be beta, this will be gamma, and so on and so forth. All right. Here you have methionine and cysteine. Right. The fourth class will be amino acids with amide group. All right. Now, amide is a special type of group that, for example, you have asparagine and glutamine. Right. How they will look is, I'll draw one of them. Asparagine looks like this. So if I draw this fellow, you have NH2, C double bond O, CH2, CH, and H3 plus, C double bond O minus. Okay, this remains the same. This is the carboxylic group. This is the amine group. This structure that you see, this is called an amide group. Okay, C double bond O NH2 that is attached, that will be called a amide group. Same way, if you see glutamine, glutamine is a slightly longer structure, but you get the same thing. If I see glutamine, glutamine looks like this. You have H2N, single bond C double bond O, CH2, CH2, CH, C double bond O minus, and NH3 plus. See, the only difference in between these two is an extra CH2 group. All right. Other than that, it remains the same. This will be the amide group. You have glutamine and you have asparagine. containing amide groups. Okay, this will generally be formed when you subject a amino acid to ammonia. Okay, whenever you have the reactions of this thing in chemical properties, when you combine ammonia with amino acid, you will get an amide group, right? So यहाँ पर सिंपल अमीनो एसिड में ग्लाइसिन था ना. Hmm. And the fifth category, the fifth way of classifying it will be, or the fifth group in it, is a dibasic monohydric monocarboxylic, sorry, acids. So you will have here lysine and arginine. You'll understand why they are called dibasic and monocarboxylic acid in a bit. So if I see the structure of, let's suppose, lysine, this fellow looks like this. You have CH2, NH3 plus, CH2, CH2, CH2. This part is the amino acid group which has the carboxylic end and the amine end. This whole thing is the R end, okay, the R chain. The basic structure of any amino acid that you will see will have an R group, will have amino group, and it will have a carboxylic acid group attached to the alpha carbon. So this will be alpha. It will keep on going alpha, beta, gamma. So this is beta carbon. This is, okay, sorry. This is the gamma carbon. This will be the delta carbon, and this will be the epsilon carbon. ठीक है, ऐसे जाता नम क्या बोलते हैं लेटर्स ग्रीक लेटर्स वैसे जाते. So this is basically how your lysine will look. That this is why they are called dibasic. This ammonium group that is present here, this fellow will give the basicity to this amino acid. Whenever there is NH3, you know NH3 is basic in structure, right? Hence it is called a dibasic. Okay, two NH3 groups, NH3 plus groups, and monocarboxylic acid. So it has a monocarboxylic acid here. That is why it is called a dibasic monocarboxylic acid, right? Your your arginine will look something similar, but यहाँ पर the branch will go extend like this. So arginine looks like this. arginine में एप्सिलॉन तक नहीं जाता. arginine में क्या होता है? You have a NH group here. You have C double bond NH2 plus. Technically ये 2 plus rada, and you have NH3 attached here. Okay, the carbon is having extra charge in this. In any case, arginine will look something like this. Okay, that is the difference between lysine and arginine. Once again, if possible, I'll send you an image with all the vertical amino acid structures and all, so it will be easier for you to memorize them. That is your dibasic monocarboxylic acid. Alright. Acid amino acids, and the sixth one will be aromatic amino acids. As the name suggests, it will have an aromatic group attached to it, something with a benzene ring. Okay, so you have phenylalanine, and you have tyrosine. Alright. Yeah, phenylalanine looks like this. So let us start from this end this time. We have COO, you have your standard CH, you have your NH3 plus, and you have your CH2. I'm just drawing CH2 like this, okay? CHH, and you have a benzene ring attached to it. Right, bonds here, here, and here. This is how your phenylalanine looks. This will give you the aromatic smell, and it will give the aromatic structure to that amino acid. Hence, they are called aromatic amino acids. Okay, tyrosine will look something similar, but it will have an OH attached here. Tyrosine looks like this, and that is the basic difference between both of them. This will still remain the alpha carbon. This will be the beta, and so on. The chain continues. The next one we have, seventh one is amino acids, और amino acid बोल के भी लिखते हैं इसको. Either way, you have proline in this. Proline का structure कैसा दिखता? Proline is a little complicated in structure. CH2, H2. Okay, this is how a imine ring looks. Imines are rings that will have structures like this with nitrogen as a component. That is why it is called imine. Okay, amino acid is something with an acid which has an imine ring in it. This N containing ring that you're seeing, that will be an imine ring. Okay, IMINE. From imine rings you will get amino acids. All right. If you see, this will remain the same. This is the carbon, hydrogen, the alpha carbon. Here you have carboxylic end, here you have the amine end. This will be the R group. Okay. Right. The last classification based on structure, number 8, will be derived amino acids. Now, derived amino acids, they can be found in proteins or they can be found in between synthesis. Will not go over the structures of them, you because they are complex compounds, in the sense that in this you will have some metabolitic structures. Derived amino acids are those that you get like metabolites in between reactions. Okay, you can find them inside proteins. So in a protein structure you might be able to find some modified amino acids. Those are derived amino acids. Or you might not find them in proteins, but you will be able to find them. They are derived from amino acids, but they will be able to find them during synthesis of proteins. So when proteins are being synthesized in between reactions, they will occur as metabolites. Right, that is how you get derived amino acids. Coming to the next way of classifying, so this was based on structure. Based on structure you have 8 different classes. Okay, you have aliphatic hydroxy sulfur containing amino acids with amide group, dibasic monocarboxylic acids, aromatic amino acids, amino and derived amino acids. Right. The second class, or the second way of classifying amino acids, will be based on side chain. This is fairly simple. Now, there are two basic ways through which you can classify it based on your side chain. They are either with polar ends or with non-polar ends. Okay, so amino acids with non-polar side chain, and the next one will be amino acids with polar side chain. Polar side chain यहाँ पर basically indicates that that molecule or that amino acid is able to create a different charge, plus and minus, and it is able to maintain that charge. Some amino acids will not have that kind of charge. Okay, serine, threonine, tyrosine, they will be polar, whereas you will have alanine, glycine, valine, they will be non-polar side chains. All right, they will not participate in hydrogen and ionic bond formation, even though they are changing ions here and there. They will not participate in hydrogen and ionic bond formation. They will not form ionic bonds with other compounds. They will only bind with other amino acids rather than any other compounds. Okay, that is the basic classifying criteria, where you have polar end and non-polar end. All right, that is the second way. Then, based on nutritional requirements, I'll delete all of this. So based on nutritional requirements, आप लोगों को न्यूट्रिशन में प्रोटीन्स हो गए क्या? Yes, have proteins been taught for you to you in nutrition? पढ़ाया नहीं पढ़ाया?
Yes, sir.
पढ़ा दिए प्रोटीन्स?
Yes, sir.
Then ये पूरा basic classification you already read this in what you call nutrition, the classification of amino acids, their structures and all of that. If you've already gone through it in nutrition, then we need not. This is a very boring topic. The classification can be very boring. You can directly jump into proteins, what is structure of proteins, how proteins are synthesized and all of that, if you are already done with this classification, because this will go on for around 2-3 classes more. If you are already done with that in nutrition, then I'll skip this and directly go to properties of proteins and what do you call protein synthesis and all of that. आप लोगों को न्यूट्रिशन में क्या क्या पढ़ा है प्रोटीन्स में? What have you been taught in nutrition? I'm asking so that we can decrease our load. क्या हुआ, याद नहीं है क्या क्या पढ़ाए थे? (23/7, 2020). I'll just take your attendance. Adnan, Akanksha, Akshara, Alan, Archana, Balaji, Yari, Elizabeth, Lovely, Moise, Nishatun. Raifuddin. ओके, एक बार चेक करो. अदनान, आकांक्षा, अक्षरा, एलन, अर्चना, बालाजी, यारी, एलिजाबेथ, लवली, मोइज, निशतुन एंड राहिफुद्दीन. राइट, द टू पीपल हु आर जॉइनिंग नाउ डज नॉट मेक एनी सेंस. अभी क्लास खत्म होने वाली है ऑलमोस्ट 5 मिनट्स में. अच्छा, तुम लोगों को न्यूट्रिशन में क्या पढ़ा है प्रोटीन्स में, सो दैट वी कैन कट डाउन आवर वर्क. पूरा फिर से कंटिन्यू करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. इफ यू टेल दैट वी कैन स्किप अ लॉट ऑफ अननेसेसरी स्टफ. No one remembers what you've been taught in. Okay, then suffer through classifications. What can I do? ठीक है, we'll continue at the next class. नहीं तो based on nutrition कर दे सकते हैं. I think yeah, 5 minutes. I'll finish that, then we'll proceed. Now, based on nutritional requirements, you will have 4 different categories. You have essential amino acids. See, essential amino acid and non-essential was the basic classification initially, in the sense that essential amino acids are those amino acids that your body cannot form. Okay, it cannot produce. There are around 10 amino acids which are essential. All right, they will count. They include isoleucine, leucine. I'll type them down. Isoleucine, leucine, threonine, lysine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, and valine. This way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 70 way. Fine. Where are the others? You have a few more essential amino acids, no? Leucine, isoleucine, threonine, lysine, tryptophan, phenylalanine, oh, methionine, histidine, and arginine. These are essential amino acids. These are those amino acids that your body cannot make and you need to take from outside source, basically in your diet. All right. You will have a different, what do you call, this thing, different 10 set of amino acids that your body is making which you do not require. Now this is one way of classifying. Okay, based on nutritional requirement, you have one which is essential amino acids, then you will have partially essential or semi-essential. Semi-essential amino acids. Basically, these amino acids are not required in adults, but they are required in growing children. Okay, that is why they are called semi-essential amino acids. They're not essential, but semi-essential. You have histidine and arginine in this. Then you have non-essential amino acids. Your non-essential amino acids will include other amino acids, including आपका एक second. You have tyrosine, you have proline, you have cysteine, all of those. I'll give you a list of all of them. एक के बाद एक तो image रही तो easy रहता with this thing. क्या बोलते हैं? With a monomer. So for this, to remember essential amino acid, you can use this PVT Tim Hall. Okay, PVT. अरे PVT TIMHALL. ठीक है, phenylalanine, valine, tryptophan, ऐसे याद रख ले सकते, easy. Okay, all of them will correspond with this. So the top ones that you are seeing, so P will be phenylalanine, V will be valine, T will be T, you can use for threonine or tryptophan easily. Other one will be the other T. I will be isoleucine, M will be methionine, H will be histidine, A will be क्या गया alanine, L-leucine and L-isoleucine. All right, that is how, or lysine or leucine, either way. This is one way of remembering it. You can make up your own what you call mnemonic if you want to. All right, so that is one way of classifying. Non-essential amino acids will be those that you do not require. There is another category called conditionally essential. Okay, you have non-essential amino acids, then you have conditionally essential amino acids. Conditionally essential amino acids are those amino acids that you require in some diseased condition. So if some person is suffering from a moderate or chronic illness where their body are not where the body is not able to produce a certain type of amino acid which requires supplementation, that is when your non-essential amino acid will become essential. All right, the requirement changes. That is why in that particular disease, because of damage or whatever the reason, let's suppose that particular amino acid is not able to form, which was initially non-essential, will become essential. Right, for example, let's suppose because of a disease isoleucine is not being or not isoleucine, any other particular for example proline nahi ban raha aapki body mein. Okay, proline is a non-essential amino acid. If there is a diseased condition where that is not being formed or it is being damaged or it is being broken down, in that condition you will have to supplement it, you'll have to take it through food. All right, so this is based on your nutritional requirement. Tomorrow we'll do based on metabolism and physical and some properties of amino acids, then we'll go into proteins. Okay.